If you're based in the outer Mani, sort of Stupa or Kavamili or Ayos Nikolaos, then a trip into the deep inner Mani comes highly recommended. Beyond Areopoli, it's a different world. The landscape changes. It's far more barren. The architecture changes. You'll see far more towers and Byzantine churches than in the Outer Mani, although admittedly some of the towers are actually pseudo modern day towers. And the population changes. Turn off into any village and don't expect to come across a busy local cafe neon. The area still suffers from depopulation. Now, to suggest everything that you could possibly go and see, a tower, a church, a beach, anything of interest in the Deep Mani on both the west and east coast, would require a full guidebook. Now, in the past, I've published 2 guidebooks whose intentions were to provide all that information, but unfortunately, in the great rains of September 2016, my basement, which housed all of my books, got flooded and everything was ruined, and I haven't reprinted since. So, I can't possibly replicate all that information online in one magazine edition. So, I have 2 recommendations for this year, and then we'll cover more next year. So the first idea would be simply to create your own footsteps, to follow the article in the same edition, the summer edition, on Patrick Leigh Fermor, which would involve visiting Limeni, which has already been mentioned, Areopoli for a quick coffee, maybe dropping into the fairly eerie village of Mesapos, maybe driving through Stavri to Tigani and taking that short walk to the little church perched at the bottom of those steep cliffs, and then stopping at Yerolimenas, which is a very picturesque port and has lots and lots of tavernas these days, and then finishing up at Vathia. That program in itself is a full day out, and you'll come back to the Outer Mani having experienced a completely different part of the peninsula. However, you may wish to ignore a couple of these options, maybe give Mesapos a miss, or Tigani a miss, or even Yerolimenas a list, because after all, the program here finishes at Vathia, so you're pretty close to the very end of the peninsula. So you could continue on, and past Vathia, you then have a choice of going left down to Porto Caio to look at all the yachts and have some lunch sat on a chair that's in the water, in the sea, right on the sea edge. Or you could turn right down to the golden sandy beach of Mamaris, or you could continue on straight to get to the very end of the peninsula at Tenaron, which is the second southernmost point of mainland Europe. And Tenaron itself is a very interesting place. It has an ancient history. The Roman travel writer Pausanias wrote quite a bit about it. The church that you immediately see at the end of the road, the church of Assomati, was once a temple to Poseidon, and it's the death oracle, the entrance to Hades, and once was home to over 5,000 mercenaries. And the great thing about this place is that nothing is really left. So it's your imagination that creates this ancient past. If you start wandering around some of the rocks that cover the 3 little pebbly coves where you can have a nice little swim, you'll begin to see foundations cut into the rock where clearly there used to be buildings. And then to top it all, there's a fantastic walk out to the lighthouse. Takes about 40 minutes, a little bit rocky at the beginning, but I've seen people do it in flip-flops. Fairly soon en route, you'll pass a Roman mosaic just lying there exposed. And once you get to the lighthouse, to me, it's one of the most peaceful places I've ever been. It's where the Aegean meets the Ionian, and it's a great place just to relax and contemplate. So, for this year, those are the 2 suggestions.